Hello and welcome to the Let's Talk Football channel. Today, we've got our final Stoke review of the season. Stoke did play the final game yesterday on Saturday, away against Bournemouth. Before we get into this final Stoke review of the season, I'm going to let Ethan talk about what we're going to be discussing in this one.
Yeah, so unfortunately it is the last Stoke review, so I'll say what we're going to be going through. So we're going to be reviewing the Bournemouth game, which we won 2-0, then the player ratings for that game, then should Michael ONeil be sacked, then we're going to stay in the Championship and go for a debate question with who do you think will win the Championship playoffs, and obviously there is a lot of great teams in that playoff.
Yeah, definitely. And just in case you didn't know, on the Championship playoffs, just in case you're wondering when and where you can check that out, that is going to be played. The EFL have confirmed yesterday that's going to be played on the 29th of May, which is a Saturday. The final, 3 o'clock, 29th of May at Wembley on Sky Sports. So just a bit of information for you on that playoffs as well. But we'll start off with it. Obviously, Stoke went away to Bournemouth and got a 2-0 win. So just before we get into the player ratings, just generally, what did you think of that, Ethan?
I mean, great result, to be fair, against a good informed Bournemouth side, really. I think it was just a little too late to get a good performance since it's the last day of the season.
Yeah.
But we always play good at the last day of the season, like last season, where we played against Nottingham Forest and won 4-1. So, the last day of the season for us has been quite good recently. But no, it was a really good performance from Stoke, defensively strong and attackingly surprising, really, really quick, I'd say. Quick, fast, neat passes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, I would agree with you, especially with the first bit you said about, it's a really good win against the Bournemouth side that are obviously going to be in these playoffs now. But yeah, it's just, this is come too late. It's the sentence I used on Saturday was a really good result to finish off a disappointing season, because is essentially what it is. It is a disappointing season, but as you said, we do typically do quite well on the last day of the season. Even going back to when we were in the Premier League, I can remember when our season tickets, it just always seemed like we won the last game of the season, whether it was home or away. So Stoke have always been quite good for that, and they pulled out another good win here to finish off the season. And hopefully the Stoke side that we saw today, we can see more of next season with some nice new additions, hopefully. But we will get straight into the player ratings then, starting with Ethan's player ratings for this game.
So starting in net, we've got Davies, very, very vocal throughout, and was comfortable when getting saves. I think there was one area, set pieces, he looked a bit dodgy, but we did. They did come close, but it wasn't on target, so it was all good. I will give him a 7 since he had a clean sheet. And here's a fact for you: when called upon to help equal club record for clean sheets, so that's quite good. Staff that got the equal club record for clean sheets.
That is really good, to be fair.
So going on to right back, we've got Smith. Thought he was pretty good, to be fair. He was doing so well anyway, even before the goal.
Yeah.
And the goal was taken so well.
Yeah.
Like a striker's goal that was, to be fair. I'll give him an 8. He was brilliant. Norwich and Davies, last game until he goes back to Sheffield United, and hopefully comes back to Stoke next season. But who knows? Bringing the ball forward for him left back, he's always a threat coming down that left hand side. At left back, he was really good. I'll give him a 7. Forrester, what a goal for a defender! That turn, well taken, honestly.
Yeah.
On his debut, he's so professional.
Yeah.
And he was smiling all the way through it. Even after the game, he's smiling. He just loved to be there.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him an 8. But thought it was one of his better games, to be fair. Got some good blocks in there. Some important tackles in the first half. I'll give him a 7.
Yeah.
I'll go on to Mikel. Thought this was probably his best game. Mikel, really.
He was good. He was. Yeah.
The outside the boot pass to Matondo in the first half, that was superb.
Yeah.
And he got an assist for Smith's goal, and he was excellent, really. So I'm going to give him an 8.
Yeah.
Just showed what Stoke have missed this season, really.
Yeah.
Just good intention, good understanding of the game, and just really, really solid. I'll give him an 8. These are very generous, but we played so well against a good Bournemouth side, so you've got to give him good ratings.
Fair enough.
Moving on to Matondo on the right, he was just so quick.
Yeah.
Going past defenders, and people are saying, bring him back. To be honest, I don't see why not now, because he's performing these recent 5, 6, 7 games. He's been really good, and even though he didn't score, he just looked so threatening down the right hand side. I'm going to give him a 7. Going on to the left, he did put a shift at left wing back, but he did have more defensive duties. But when he had the chance to bomb down the left, he would, and he put a shift in. So I'll give him a 7. Then Brown, to be honest, not the best game for him. To be honest, the only player. I mean, we've always said he's been poor, hasn't he? But deeper in the second half, he just dropped a bit deeper just to seal the game. But I'll give him a 6.
Yeah.
Then for the substitutes, Norton for Matondo. Got a couple of minutes for Norton, really, to quite an encouraging season for him, to be honest, because he's been really threatening since he's come in from the under 23s, and I'll give him a 6 because he didn't have too much time. Moving on to Vokes for Brown in the 90th minute. Hopefully, this is the last run for Stoke, because we do not want to see him ever again in a Stoke shirt. Because I know it's harsh and it's the last day of the season, but hopefully we can get rid of him. But he had a late cameo.
Yeah.
And I'll just give him a 5 because he had nothing to do, really. 90th minute, you can't really say anything. I'll give a thought of the tactics, I'll say. I mean, I'll give it an 8, but I don't agree with putting Brown on up front on his own.
Yeah.
I think he gets isolated a bit much, so that's all I've got to say.
Fair enough, yeah. All right, then I'll get on to mine. So starting off with Davies in goal then. Thought he had a decent performance, to be fair. Made a few good saves, and it just looks like he's going to be the first choice next season. I know Angus Gunn's obviously got a foot injury right now, and he's coming back next season, but I think Davies is probably going to be the number one. I think deservedly so as well. But first game, I thought he was all right, to be honest. I'll give him a 7. Left back, Norwich and Davies, really good. Thought he put a good shift in, as he usually does. hopefully we can get him back again for next season, but we'll see. Obviously, he is going back to Sheffield United, who have just got relegated, so they might want to keep tabs on him, but hopefully he can come back. But yeah, I thought he was solid. Just all around decent performance, really. I'd give him a 7. Smith, I thought he did really well. Going forward, his crossing's been good of recent as well, into the box, and I think he does get caught out the odd time for tracking back just because he's not the quickest, but I do think generally he's been really good. I think he's been helping out quite a lot going forward more than anything, to be honest. He seems like a really solid person just to have just behind the winger when we're going forward, and obviously an excellent goal as well. Couldn't believe it when he scored it. Just a really good finish, like you said, something that you'd expect from. That's like a goal that we've maybe seen like Tyrese Campbell score before. Like, it's a really good finish.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give him an 8. And then Forrester, thought he was quite good at the back, to be honest. Had a fairly good display, and the goal, was just excellent. I couldn't believe it when he scored that, because you just wouldn't expect it. His debut, his first ever senior debut, and he scores a goal like that on the turn, and the way he hit it, just unbelievable. Something you definitely not expect from a defender, but also something you definitely not expect from a young player making the first ever senior debut to pop up and do that. It just shows that he's clearly got a lot of confidence in his ability, which is good. And taking his chance when he gets it, for a debut, and he's just put his name on the mark like that. So that's quite impressive. So I'm going to give him an 8. So I'd say moving on to Bat. Don't think it was his worst game that he's had, but I'd say well done for everything that you've tried to do, but I don't want you here next season. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to have to give you a 5, because I just don't really like you, to be honest, as a defender for Stoke City Football Club. So I'm going to give you a 5. And what I'm going to say is, thank you for everything, but please leave. Thank you. That's all I want to say. But yeah. Moving on then to Klukas in midfield. And for some reason, Klukas, it's come out today about he might be let out on a free next month, and apparently Blackburn are the favourites to get him.
Yeah.
Same with, there's been some rumours over the last few days with Joe Allen as well. However, I'm not going to talk about it too much, because I feel like that's maybe something we could discuss in our season review, when we go through like who we think should go out and who we think we should, try and keep hold of. But I do think that's a bit odd. But Klukas had a good performance against a good side. It's one of our most consistent players, really. Like you get sort of the same level of performance week in, week out. And I do like that. And I think you need that when he's playing such a core role, being part of that midfield. So I'd say I'll give him a 7. John Obi Mikel was good. Got some good tackles, some good passes. One of his best performances of the season. And I just thought he did quite well, to be honest. If he played like that every week, I'd have no issue extending his contract and starting him again next season. But I'll give him a 7. Thompson was all right. Didn't do too much wrong, but then didn't show too much like in a positive light, I'd say. He was just all right. It's kind of what we said before. He just sort of gives those all right, okay, average, sort of performances usually. I'll give him a 6. Matondo on the right was really good. It's really positive. Was really impressed with Matondo, actually, because Matondo as well was also the player who made that brilliant ball across for Jacob Brown, who really probably should have scored, but it got blocked by the defender. I think it was
it was Carter Vickers, wasn't it?
Yeah, Carter Vickers. Yeah. But yeah, so I thought he had a really good performance there, Matondo, and I'd agree with you. I was one of those people that was like, yeah, he didn't seem to be showing anything. I wouldn't bother. Schalke can keep him. I think we both were really at one point, like a lot of other fans were at one point, but just near the end of the season, he's just suddenly turned it on. And if he can play like that next season, then I've got no issue with loaning him back in again. To be honest, a solid performance. I'll give him a 7. Timon, I thought he was all right. He was decent. Not really the ideal play that you want left wing. Usually we prefer sort of like a McLean, but obviously we've just been in such bad luck for injuries. We've got 13 players on the injury list right now. And that's another thing as well. Now, let's not forget, guys, that we've won against Bournemouth without Fletcher or Nick Powell as well, who are both injured right now, which is quite impressive. But Timon, I thought he was still decent though. Plus last game of the season, so I'll give him a 6. Jacob Brown, he did nothing. He never does anything. To be honest with you, you're not a striker. You're not a winger. You're not a good player, to be honest. Now, it is last game of the season, but at the same time, we're not. He's not a kid anymore. Got to cut it a bit real, to be honest with you. And you know what, son? I just don't think so. I'm gonna give him a. Do I give him the same as Danny Powell? I'm gonna give Jacob Brown a 4 because he didn't do anything. But Bat was actually better. Bat not getting the lowest rating for once. Well done, Danny Bat. Round of applause. There you go. There you go. That's my little present to Danny Bat to finish off the season. Didn't get the lowest rating this time. There you go. See, I'm not always mean to Danny Bat. You get the lowest one. Right. Then looking at the 2 subs, Christian Norton and Sam Vokes, obviously Matondo and Jacob Brown coming off for those 2. Came on at basically the same time, but it's just like so little minutes to go. I can't really give anything other than a 5 to both of them because they didn't get a chance to do anything. Christian Norton, by the way, he should have started, in my opinion, this game. Not Jacob Brown. I think we should just planked him up top, see what he would have done. But Sam Vokes, hopefully, isn't here next season. But I'm not going to say too much about that again because of that season review. Hopefully we should be doing so. Yeah, I'll give them both 5s. But moving on to our first debate question out of the 2. The first one's difficult, I think, to answer in a sense, but I feel like it should be asked because just because I'm asking it doesn't mean, that I'm particularly one side or the other. But I think it should be asked because ultimately stats don't lie. And for the second half of the season, it's pretty appalling. I think it's like 7 wins and 30 games or something like that, and that's just really poor. And I know we've just beat Bournemouth for the last game of the season, but if you look before that, we've been dreadful. We've dropped points to so many teams that we should be comfortably beating as well, and really messed ourselves up when December time we were sitting in the top 6. So the question is, should O'Neill be sacked? Now, obviously, it's quite a hard-hitting question, but I am going to go to Ethan to see what he thinks.
I mean, the stats don't lie. It's been, the second half of the season anyway, it's been a poor second half, really. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we were all excited when he came in and what he did to keep us up. And, first half of the season was brilliant. Since we had Campbell, we've got to put into factor that we've had 13 injuries, long term as well. It's not like they're short term, they're long term injuries for the 13 players. And they're crucial players as well, like Campbell, Clucas, he had 7 months off. I mean, Alan's injured now for a long time.
Yeah.
Fletcher's been injured. Nick Powell's been injured, and still is apparent. I think. There's loads. Collins, he was playing superb. But yeah, I think, to be honest, if we did sack him, who would we get in?
Well, I mean, Pellegrini, he's a great option.
Sure, he won't come to Stoke. Bloody hell. He won't come down to Stoke. Realistic.
Hey, actually, Mikel Arteta when he gets sacked from Arsenal.
No, I don't want him. No.
Oh.
No.
But, yeah, so I'll let you carry on though. Yeah, I don't know, to be fair. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, it's an if and or, really, to be honest. I think if we did sack him, who would you get in? That's all I can say, really. But if I had to pick one, I wouldn't sack him because of all the injuries that have happened, and we haven't had the best budget in January.
Yeah.
Because of financial fair play. So we couldn't bring in anyone too good. We couldn't even buy anyone.
No, just
we had to loan them.
Yeah, loans and frees.
That's why we've loaned all of our January window signings were loans. So Matombo, Jack Clark, Reece Norris, Davies, they were all loans, and they were good players as well. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure we'd love to see him back at Stoke.
Yeah.
At least for one more season.
Yeah.
So I think I wouldn't sack him just because the injuries have just piled up.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. For me, I wouldn't sack him. I'd give him until January of next season, because I think I'd give him the first. What I mean by that is if by January next season, say we're sitting 10th, somewhere around there, I'd let him have the rest of the season. What I mean is that if at January next season we're like 14th, 15th, 16th, then I'd say we might have to do a change year and see if we can just get a push in the last half of the season, because obviously we don't want to be in this league for too long now. Obviously, because it's going to be like our fourth season in the Championship now coming up. So, but I'd say, with the injuries and stuff, I just don't think it's really a fair assessment technically yet of is it a managerial ability because of the injuries that we've had. Tyrese Campbell, a lot of people argue if we had Tyrese Campbell, we would be just about in the top 6. A lot of people argue, and I can understand that. So I think with all those factors, Tyrese Campbell being such a crucial player as well, and the countless amount of injuries we've had, I don't think you could sack him. I don't think it would be fair. And also as well, like you say, with the money issues we've had, he's not even really been able to spend any money. So I think it'd be unfair to say, you can't spend any money. You've not been able to spend any money. You've got to basically get free agents and loans. But if you don't do well without spending money, then here's the door. I think it is a bit harsh. So that's why I'd say I give him until January, see where we are there, and then maybe you have those discussions. But yeah, I'd still keep him for now, because I do think he needs a good go in the summer, and we can see what he produces going into next season. But
how long is the financial fair play for?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I don't even really know.
Because I can't remember the last time we've brought a proper player in. Like not proper player, but with a fee. Yeah,
I mean, I think what messed us up is we had the first 2 seasons of the Championship or something. You get, or at least the first season you get like a parachute payment, don't you, for going down? And then those go, and then we've lost money because they're still staying there. But I don't even know. I don't even know how long that lasts for, to be honest with you. Hopefully not for too long, though, to be fair. But looking at, hopefully we get an answer on that soon, actually, financial fair play issue, because if in the summer we do like any transfer episodes for Stoke, That's going to be a vital thing, that is.
Yes, it is.
Really. So, hopefully we'll find out more on that soon about what's going on with that, because there's something saying, oh, Stoke might get their FFP dropped, and then there's other things saying, oh, Stoke are going to have financial fair play this summer, so they need to be wise about how they do the business. So it's just confusing at the moment, really. But we'll move on, though. Anyway, carrying on with the theme of the Championship, for our final part of this podcast, and the question is, who do you think will win the Championship playoffs? So, when I say this, obviously I do mean the final. Now, if we just look at this, in case anybody didn't know, the 4 teams going into the playoffs is Bournemouth, Brentford, Barnsley, Swansea, and the fixtures have been released. So, for Bournemouth, they'll face Brentford. They'll face Brentford at home, and then in the second leg, obviously, they'll play Brentford away. And then for the other fixture, you've got Barnsley and Swansea. So they're the teams that will be facing each other. So you've got Bournemouth against Brentford, Barnsley against Swansea. They'll obviously play each other twice over in 2 legs. But for you, Ethan, who do you see lifting that trophy at the end of the playoffs to send themselves to the Premier League?
To be fair, I think there's 2 teams I can see in the final already.
Yeah.
And that's like 3rd and 4th, to be honest. So, not Bournemouth, Brentford and Swansea in the final, I think. Because Swansea have been really, really consistent this season and have nicked games when it matters.
Yeah.
And so there's that. And with Brentford, they've only lost 7 games this season, so the same amount as Norwich. And
also, just want to quickly put in there, Ivan Toney's broke the record for the amount of goals in one season in the Championship.
There you go.
Because he's finished it with 31 goals, so he's broke the record.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Ivan Toney's a great player, but the quality around him as well is in the Championship is brilliant as well.
Yeah.
Like everywhere, like Mbembo, the winger, the Dutch winger left mid. I forgot his name. Just loads of good quality.
Yeah.
But in the final, who would I see winning out of Brentford and Swansea? I'd say Brentford, because Ivan Toney, he deserved to be a Premier League player, and he's got qualities of a Premier League player. And even though, like, Ollie Watkins, Ben Rama didn't go up with Brentford, I can see Brentford going up, because Brentford have got a much stronger defence than last season as well. Yeah. So I can see Brentford going up.
Yeah, fair enough. Now I was speaking to talk about this earlier. Actually, he actually said that he could see the final being Bournemouth, Brentford, and Brentford going up. So he would agree on you. He'd agree with you on the fact of Brentford winning it. To be fair, now for me, I've got something slightly different. I have now. You said about you could see the final, sort of possibly being Brentford, Swansea, and actually, it's interesting that you said that, because I think Swansea will win the playoffs and go up. Because I think for me, there's a couple of issues I have with the other teams that I think will eliminate them from being able to win it. Starting off with a more obvious one, no offence to them, Barnsley. They've done really well just to get into the playoffs. Nobody expects them to do anything in the playoffs. So I don't think they'll go very far, to be honest with you. Then Bournemouth, obviously just took a defeat to Stoke, but before that had a couple of iffy games, let's say. And then as well, Brentford, they're other than Brentford and Swansea, I'd say the best 2, to be honest, for this.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that just nudges Swansea over Brentford. Brentford have obviously got Ivan Toney, who is a goal machine, but I think Brentford, they've got a tendency to bottle it, because obviously...
look at last season.
Exactly, in the playoff final, and then it went like that, and Let's not forget, at one point in the season, they were comfortably in the automatics. And now they've got to play in the playoffs because they started slipping off and bottling games a little bit. Even their recent wins have been close against lower sides. So I'd say the only thing that just puts me off Brentford is just this tendency that they do seem to have to bottle it a little bit. And as well, I know we go on about Tony, but let's not forget Ayew is still a cracking striker for Swansea. And he obviously got Lowe as well. Jamal Lowe, he's really good.
He's been in really good form recently because, he had like an off stage where he had like a few goals in like a massive amount of games, but then he started to hit loads, get a load of goals.
Yeah.
So he's in really good form right now.
Yeah. So I just think they've got a good side, and to be honest with you, I think Swansea, I just got a feeling they would be able to deal with the pressure a bit more. So you're going with Brentford, and I'm going with Swansea. So we'll see. We'll see if who's right on that. Maybe, you never know with how the playoffs is. Maybe Barnsley will win the whole thing, and we will both be wrong or something. Or Bournemouth.
Bloody hell, Barnsley going up though.
Bloody hell. Gosh.
You'd have seen that.
Premier League show talking about Barnsley against Man City. My days. The Oakwell Stadium. Wow.
Bloody hell.
Well, so that is everything for this podcast. Obviously, this one a bit shorter than usual because we usually do a review and preview for the Stoke ones. So we usually put them together, but obviously this is the end of the season now. However, we'll like to say though, we are going to, we don't exactly know when yet, but it will be sometime quite soon. We'll do a season review for Stoke, but also as well, if you'd also like a more general football one, don't worry, because we have said about doing like a video for the Championship where we say our player of the season for the Championship and like our manager of the Championship campaign. Same for the Premier League, player of the season in the Prem, manager, best manager in the Prem in our opinion, that sort of thing. So don't worry, it won't just be a Stoke one and then that's it. We'll wait until the Euros. There will be that too. And obviously as well, there's still more European pods to come because they've still got the final of that to come up. You still got the rest of the Premier League. There's still some games left of that. And then even when that's all finished, you're going to have the playoffs, the playoff final, which will probably...
And you got some finals of the Europa League and the Champions League, so...
Exactly, well. Yeah. And then even when all of that's done, a week or two later, because I was checking the dates, 2 weeks later, the Euros start. So it'll be fine. Like content will still be coming out on a regular.
I think as well we'll try to get as much content as possible.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Since like the content will be like drying up a bit, but we'll try and get some more content out, like transfer news and all that.
Exactly. Yeah, and
it'll be like flying high.
Yeah.
Since the end of the season and everything.
Yeah, and these videos, like we say about player of the season for the Premier League and manager of the season and, doing one for the Championship and one for the Premier League, like these sort of video ideas as well, they all fill in like the week or two gap between everything finishing in the start of the Euros and then the Euros will start. So it'd be fine. So we've still got loads of stuff to come up. Obviously as well, it's getting even more exciting because there's just finals of everything happening. And then also you're going to have England content as well, not long after that. So it's going to be a really exciting time, to be honest. But that is everything for today's podcast. So we do hope you enjoyed listening to this because we certainly enjoyed making it. If you did enjoy listening to this, then please like and subscribe. If you've got any thoughts, comments, suggestions, ideas, tips, etc., then just leave it in the comment section below and I'll just go to Ethan to see if there's anything he wants to add before we go.
Yeah, so the next video. What is the next video? Because I have no clue.
European pod. Wait. No, because I find it. No, yeah. The next video.
It'll probably be a Premier League one. Anyway.
Yeah, Premier League show. That's what it'll be. Because actually, there's loads of games in the week as well for the Premier League. One on Monday, one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So there's loads going on for that.
All right then. So subscribe to the channel, like the video. It's free at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And comment down below anything, mate. Any, like Warren said, any suggestions, tips, and all that. Hope you enjoyed the video, and that's all from me.
All right, we'll see you in the next one, guys.
In a bit.